Oh, do I have to
Call the
call
order.
the order? Yeah, all right. We are, what the heck? We're starting our meeting, and I'd like to call roll. Well, let's see. Barb, not here. Tim, not here. Michelle?
Here.
Here, thank you. Kathy?
Here.
Mike?
Here.
And Steve Bobowski, he's here. All right. Pledge allegiance. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I always feel like, somebody should yell play ball.
Yeah, that's normally what happens.
Yeah, all right. All right, first thing on our agenda today is the citizen comment period. I see there's no one here, so I suggest we move on. Approve the minutes from our January 26th meeting.
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Passes. All right, we've now got to our Lee Mechanical Major Site Plan Amendment. Request to approve a major site plan for the addition of 51 parking stalls to the current 74 located on property 9909 South 57th Street.
And I'm so sorry, you are again.
Luke Hamill.
Oh, yes, Luke.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yep.
I emailed you earlier.
Yep. Good evening, everybody. This is my first time here, so we did our introductions before recording, but I'm Luke Hamill. I'm an associate planner in the Department of City Development. So what I have before you today, like I said, so eloquently said, is a major site plan amendment for the addition of 51 parking spaces at the Lee Mechanical lot on 9909 South 57th. The reason this site plan amendment is before you today is because it's in the Franklin Industrial Park, PDL, Plan Development District number 7. So any sort of major site plan amendment goes through approval at the Economic Development Commission instead of the Plan Commission. Lee Mechanical is looking to add to their existing 74 parking stalls on their site with 51. The proposed parking meets the standards in the ordinance for Plan Development District number 7 that all parking be no less than 180 square feet, and it complies with the Unified Development Ordinance width and depth standards. The additional parking required some additional landscaping area as well because they were removing some on the western side of the site, which the applicant has provided as part of this proposed minor site plan amendment. As you can see there is a landscaping plan that shows it kind of on the northeast side there and a little bit more on the southeast side with some plantings and things like that. There are stipulations about where employee and guest parking is, so they have noted that their guest parking is mostly on that eastern side because the employee parking can't be in the front yard area. So most of their additional employee parking is on that northern side there, a little bit adjacent to the building, and then on the southern facade. And with that, City Development staff is recommending approval to this major site plan amendment.
How many people work there?
I'm not familiar, but they definitely need it for the site. I think it's one space for every employee. There's something to do with shifts in the language, but they definitely needed it.
Okay. So if you said, okay, they're already at what?
74.
And now we're adding another
51. So it'll bring their total to 125. Yeah.
And where in the business park, like, who's next to locate on the other side of them? And do they have
I wish I had the map, John.
And if you don't know offhand, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know offhand. It's on 57th Street, 9909.
But there's no, like, I'm asking this more as a learning experience for
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
When there's a change like this, do notifications go out to the other businesses like they do in a residential area?
No. Site plan amendments do not require public hearing notices or things like that from the city. Essentially, as long as they're keeping it on their property, then it would not go to that.
And you recommend this and you feel confident with this?
Yeah. They comply with all the standards, so City Development staff recommends approval. In the regular Unified Development Ordinance, we now have a maximum parking standard instead of a minimum, but since this is in the Franklin Industrial Park, it has its own standards for parking. So that does not apply here. So, yeah.
I tried pulling up their website maps.
in here help you at all?
If you can go to just the property viewer, maybe it's probably a better way.
And they've been in Franklin for quite some time.
Yeah, they have a couple of sites. They have one that's kind of north of there as well on 60th Street.
So they've got one on 60th Street and then one here.
Yep. Yeah, I think the one on the site on the north is more a like office, and
These are more of the.
this is more of where the working and what they do.
Okay.
Is Lee Mechanical, do they have mechanical trucks?
They don't park outdoor. No.
No outdoor parking there for anything?
No, if they were to do that, it would require what's called a conditional use permit, and then that would be sent to other neighboring properties.
So
and things
no,
like that.
no parking of trucks out in this area?
No, only employee and customer parking.
High quality mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection, operation.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're on that southwest side of the business park development, but they're in the.
All right. Any more discussion?
No.
All right.
Answers that question.
Anybody want to?
I'll
Move
make
to
them-
approve.
A second.
All in favor? Say
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
All right.
Thank you for being here, Bruce.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Now, do you want to stay the rest?
I think I'll pass. I'll listen to the recording later.
That's a good one. Have a good night.
Have a
Try
good
not to
night,
work
everybody.
too late.
You want some cherry pie?
I will take some to
Yeah.
go.
I mean,
Wow.
yeah.
It's delicious.
Mike seconded, who moved?
Mike made the motion, I second it.
Okay, Mike and Michelle.
Mhm.
All right, very good. And what that motion is a motion to approve a resolution approving site plan amendment for Lee Mechanical Incorporated, 9909 South 57th Street.
Right. Get one more stall to the current 74.
All right.
All right.
Have a good
Take
night,
care.
everybody.
Thank you. Luke.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. If you want to stay, it's okay.
I understand.
Luke works 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I got emails from him nonstop, weekends, everything.
Is that right?
Oh, he's a hard worker.
Good. All right. We're here to our economic development update, strategic plan implementation, industrial and commercial nodes prioritization, plan report implementation, plan presentation to the council for adoption.
Okay, so the first item is the strategic plan. Under the strategic plan implementation is the industrial and commercial nodes. You know, I would sure like to pull this up on the screen.
And this is for the techno.
Well, Tickner and Associates identified sites that had high potential for being developed as retail and as industrial. And so I went through and crossed out the ones that had been developed, or ones that the last couple are housing projects, which we probably wouldn't be interested in.
So they are an associate that the city hires and pays to do this? I've never heard their name.
Yeah, very
before.
long. Oh, yeah, this was done in like 20. This was done in 2000, 2001.
Oh,
It's been the
Now I see
economic
that.
development, one of the economic
Right, right.
development Bibles.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And so this is a place where we'd like to start, and I have a couple suggestions that we need to investigate, I think, at the end of this. But if you take a look at, the first pages here, I just went through, even on the index, and crossed out stuff that was done, and kind of gave you an update on what's happening. And we can go through real quick and take a look at stuff. It should go by pretty fast. Now,
So what are we asking us to
Well,
read it and approve?
well, what we're taking a look at is sites that have potential that you would like to recommend
Yeah.
to the city for further development, or if there's things that we can do as an economic development commission and commissioners, then let's work on it. There's places that are in play, like St. Martin's
Yeah.
and Loomis
Yeah.
roads. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
That's what I was
definitely
just gonna
on the
say.
screen, but
Mhm.
maybe there's ways that some of you can help. So,
But-
also, like, Whitnall View area, which is just Menards outlots,
Mhm.
it's up by Menards.
Yeah.
I have no idea if we can get any play on that.
Well, how can we get play? For example, let's take the piece of land that's right by my house on Loomis and St. Martin.
Uh-huh.
So O'Malley owns it. They're cleaning it up. They're placing it for sale. Whoever they sell it to is out of our say.
Is what?
Whoever they choose to sell the land to is out of our say. So where do we come in as a commission?
What
Well-
what they can do with it.
We do have contact with Jim O'Malley, who's managing it. Certainly, we contact John, but I would assume that Jim would let us know.
Oh, but-
that is.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just,
Could we veto?
I'm just trying to
No, we
understand.
don't want a strip club there.
No,
No.
no.
Yeah. That's not allowed in our city anymore.
If it's
Well,
all,
I'm just using it as an example, yeah.
But I'm just
Yeah.
saying, yeah.
Yeah.
But we only, I'm just trying to understand this. We only have so much say. I'm just trying to, like,
if someone buys it,
You know, we're not doing as an authority,
right.
but you might know somebody.
Yeah.
He might know. You might know. He might
But we
know
can
somebody.
like recommend that to O'Malley.
Right.
He doesn't have to take our recommendations. He's about making money, so he's going to sell it to the highest bidder.
and the usage that who's ever gonna buy it from him will have a certain prescribed usage. If they wanna change that or need to change that, then there's a process to allow for that,
How it's zoned, right?
whatever it's owned for, you know.
Okay.
You know, so before we go to the worst case scenario, the thing is, let's be proactive about it. Let's,
No, I'm just
let's
no,
make
I'm not trying to be vague.
contacts with
I'm
people
trying to
we would
understand.
like.
I'm still
And then-
newer to this commission, so I'm
Well-
trying to understand this.
Right.
That's why I asked.
We want to be ahead of that.
I want to
curve.
understand it. I want to learn it.
We don't need to be ahead of the curve is what we're trying to do. That's why we're looking.
Okay, that
We're not waiting for the phone to ring.
okay, that makes more sense.
Might need
Yeah.
dessert.
So we might know somebody, we might know a developer, we might know somebody in commercial real estate. And so using those connections or, you know, mounting a proactive campaign, you know, that my office could target for the time I have. And maybe it's just different or specific targets of people that we need to go at.
Ooh. Should we start with that people? I don't want to take over.
No, I think we want to get through all this
Yeah.
and come back if
Well-
anybody has.
I have
suggestions
lots
now
of
or in the
ideas.
future, Yeah.
But I have them in my head.
And here's a, you know, there's a review of the properties that are out there, and then we get into the details in section 4, merging and potential business districts. And so, you know, going down through that, you know, looking at the list, you know, Franklin corners Loomis and 76, that's really kind of finalizing right now with the POS General project. And so we're kind of wrapping that up. And the outdoor Twin Theater area on 27th Street, that's been developed.
So this is actually an old document.
It is an old
Yeah,
document.
and we're just cleaning it up.
But everybody kind of says the Tickner report says
Yeah.
the Tickner, so.
Right.
It's our way of taking a look to see what's
Right.
still available, and
Well, let's start with what hasn't been completed yet, and what's, you know, what's got high potential and what doesn't. So let's see. So yeah, so the Whitnall area is Menards outlots only. Twin Theater area, I think that didn't that become the Sam's Club area? I think that's
Could be,
what
yeah.
happened with it. We can try to get down to a map here. Problem is getting down to the map. We'll touch on this stuff further down. They kind of repeat themselves in this process.
So take us back. John, are you actively doing people in this? Or are we, one time, we were doing some advertising for people to come,
Not all of it.
or are we waiting for brokers?
Well, we're out making contact with brokers.
Yeah.
But moreover, the ones that are in play are ones that contact us. Now, brokers that are familiar with us. POS General is Land by Label, who Ian Martin is the CEO and co-owner. He used to work for Mandel, who did ballpark, but he was most involved in Balo Village. And so he's familiar with the
Yeah.
area, sees the potential. That was a very successful project. So yeah, it makes sense. He wants to
Yeah.
do more work.
Okay.
And so it's just,
Okay.
Have you ever met Ian Murray?
I think so.
I think way back a few years ago, I think I,
Well, it's real possible.
I think you like him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
He's a really nice guy.
So
Okay, so we're on Whitnall. Now
Yeah.
we're down to Civic Center.
Civic Center, corner of Rawson and Forest Home, just some infill there. And we're gonna get into the details more over the Crossroads area we talked about. Really, it's a redevelopment, but there's a lot of potential for that redevelopment on the north, east, and south corner. And so that's retail. And this is just an overview of the area. Potential business park areas, southeast corner, it needs some support and infrastructure. We have the corporate park, but there's going to be some infrastructure needed. And so the conundrum is it's nice to get the project in there to create the increment to pay for the infrastructure, but it's tough to get them to bite off a big enough chunk to make it work. Sometimes the streets aren't aligned properly to make that happen. And so we'll talk a little more about that. Bryan Road, where it's called the town center. It's dedicated towards housing. And so this is over by the Loomis Industrial Park. It's near the intersection there and where, where Bear Development. So those are dedicated towards housing. So there are some areas, though, that we may want to hold.
Condos,
It's both.
apartments.
There's some apartments happening, I think we're looking at now on the corner, but it's been single-family homes up till now.
Wait, what apartments?
Okay, so I think we're looking at some multifamily that we were looking at on the
Bears.
corner.
Oh, yeah, got it.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. He just needed to say Bear. I got it now.
Pardon?
I've got it. Mike said Bear. Now I
Bear Development, yes. Yeah, it's on the northeast corner of the whole project. And it was just fully commercial and industrial, and then changed the zoning.
is Verizon still there?
Yes, they're still paying their
Yeah.
assessment
Franklin Data Center.
valuation guarantee.
But they're not doing anything.
No,
Could be a slaughterhouse.
I think we should change that to zone slaughterhouse.
Absolutely.
so the Highway 100 outdoor theater, I think that's in this area. I think it's further up, isn't that?
Round.
Isn't that further up, and isn't that being developed as schools and
Well,
recreation center?
here's the cottage, you keep going up around Ryan,
Right.
and then before it joins, there was a theater.
Okay.
Yeah, just what wasn't it one
Oh.
screen?
Yeah.
So it is zone general business, so there may be some potential there. And I should probably, and I have to apologize, our computer's dying. So we should have left our GIS property.
Is there a way to consolidate this document into just what's available? And even so,
Well, I could process it more and just do excerpts.
I'm wondering, well, I'm threw it into like, ChatGPT or one of those. Have it- Got the crest of that.
It seems awfully time consuming to have to do that when
Yeah.
you're swamped.
Yeah, I'm saying electronic way where you didn't have to do it by hand.
Well, Yeah, maybe.
With an N, I don't know.
Maybe. Well, we're basically reviewing it. It gets us away from the, what about this property? What about that property?
Yeah,
What about that property? And so now we go through and we see,
Yeah.
Rock Ventures, as far as what our work is concerned with, is done.
Yeah.
Badass.
Village,
Bad act.
yep, that has to be done yet. It's kind of out of the deck. There's a proposal there. It was basically financial haggling. But I don't know what else we can get done with that.
Who's developing Bad Axe? Who's
Okay, that's part of the Rock Ventures.
still part?
Yeah, it's,
You were on council.
I thought it had gone over the
I'll
good
have to pull
side.
this up on the,
Because there was some linkage at some point between Bad Axe and South General.
Yeah, for
It
a
was-
hot minute.
it was ownership, and that isn't the case anymore.
Okay.
So, here we
Mike-
are.
You know Mike's not part.
Here's where Bad Axe is.
No, I knew that,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But when they were negotiating South
Wasn't
General,
fast enough.
Bad Axe was
No,
in
no,
play.
we're up to.
For
I
you.
know, right?
And,
I'm still looking because I'm not.
So here's where Bad Axe is. That's where the proposed site for Bad Axe.
At one point, it was when negotiation was going on between Ian Vicar for South General. Bad Axe came into play, so I'm not sure
So,
where they were. Did they go back to the Rock then at some point?
Yes.
yeah, it's up to Rock to make the investment, and it does help them with their assessed valuation. It's their investment. So, community retail center here, it's 42 acres, but it's right here. And this is where, it was a project that couldn't get done because of access, in light of the new, paved off-ramp.
So off of Loomis, that's a land off of
Yeah,
Loomis.
it was
So-
Franklin Farms, what did that be? It was proposed with POS.
Right. There is talk with the owners of that land, which for full disclosure is the Rock, of doing something. They're going to be presenting something to us in concept review. There's a lot they want to do there,
Right.
but the concern once again is the DOT is not allowing that access.
Right.
And they have to buy that one farmhouse out, all that land, which I think that owner's right.
So, yeah, but see.
But the access,
But that's the benefit of having this group, knowing what's going on. And maybe helping. So, yeah,
yeah,
Is that-
that's my district.
Is that where that
That's a
plateau
concept.
landfill was for a long time?
yeah, there's fill there. And that's a challenge that has to be overcome. So that's,
Michelle, you're highlighted here. As far as that you backed the official town hall.
Did I what?
It's a nice article you're mentioning about POTS General.
Oh, what
So-
article?
I don't know.
that's site
125.
A4 in this
Oh,
report.
Thank you. And General Sentinel, I'm sure Eric Hanley.
By Franklin Community News.
Oh,
And then-
Franklin Community News. You're
Now
cheating,
what's-
right? Okay.
Sorry, I was.
Jesus.
I really shouldn't have given you guys.
Well, I was looking at
People like to get ahead.
No, I was looking at what you were looking at. You were
Oh.
pointed up there, and I was gonna ask, like, what exactly is that? Because
This area here.
no, I thought you were pointing to the A4 part.
A4 is the POTS general area. If you look at-
Oh, okay,
That's,
gotcha.
that's the area that's been vacant forever.
Yeah.
And right next to it here is the mall.
Okay,
It's
The
proposed
west
for
side of
demolition.
76.
okay.
Here's 76,
So is-
there's Ross.
Is Kathy
Okay.
referring to the old Brun farm?
Well, that's
still
on
owned
the
by-
north part of it, right here.
And that's not a part of POTS General. They're-
Well, it's not part of their project, but it will be part of TID 10.
But they don't own the land.
It's still.
Don't have to.
It's
Okay,
in the,
so-
it's
so
in
you-
the parentheses, it's in the
You
definition.
include properties that have potential that need some
Got it.
assistance or that need some impetus.
So that
to
would be
develop.
part of TID 10. No
Right.
matter who buys it or what they do. That is
Well,
automatic.
the impetus would be money.
If someone has a project that the city is interested in backing,
Well, no, in terms of who's trying to sell it,
O'Malley.
no.
well, the Broom Farm, yes.
I
Run-
thought that
run
was
farm.
church.
No, church sold it back to O'Malley a
Oh,
long
so,
time
okay.
ago.
Huh?
Then it got sold to Zimmerman, and then Zimmerman sold it back to O'Malley.
Oh, gosh.
It's been sold and
Who
sold.
makes money on this?
Not us.
Well, some of the investors. So, but how it works.
There has, it's hard because if this was in, and it's almost like some of this stuff should be in closed session. Anybody can go and already hear
Correct.
what we're talking
We haven't
about.
talked about any ownership of properties. That's,
I know, but I have a lot of good ideas
Open
that we're
record.
presenting.
okay. I don't disagree.
But,
I don't-
like, because I want to say, but I don't want to step on developers' toes, is
well,
there's a good possibility that Land by Label could purchase that land by the Brun Farm. You know? That's been in the talks quite a bit.
there's all sorts of options. Purchase whatever. But if you have ideas you think we should discuss more in closed session under the prospects,
And I thought the
let's write it down.
dental office was interested in land down their parking.
So right now it's up Zimmerman and Rock Ventures. They own it?
No.
O'Malley.
O'Malley, yes.
John or Jim?
Well, Jim's in charge of it. John may still be owner, but Jim is in charge of it, so I'm guessing he might be the owner. Hard to say.
Mike's used to that.
So. we can- But here's the thing, you can look at this. At one point, we had more information. This used to have addresses on it. At one point. Not the- This is updated.
Okay. Somebody's got to get
Right, well,
whoever's developing or whatever.
right, yeah, so, like I say. It could be. At that area.
Currently, all the pieces that are available, do we have what they're zoned currently?
Yes,
I mean, we'd have to look up each one, right?
no.
No.
Go to the map. This is, what everybody should be aware of, it's transparency. What that does. Now you can look at what's going on, see the property, now you can see what the zone is.
Okay.
So, it's, again, this is PDD, where the Haas General project. But this is owned by Franklin LLC. Franklin Rawson LLC. It's business, so business retail, business regional, but it's general. And then there's single family, single residential, in one lot, which could be changed. In this business, there could be residential on the second floor with retail on the first. On this PDL, Plan Development District, using old and part of the POTS project. So, takes us on to the quarry environs, which is completed. The last project is going in there. If you're not familiar with the area, this is where the Sendik's store is located. So we've got CVS and Jilly's and Dunkin' Donuts on the frontage. Back part of it, Children's, Wisconsin Children's. Then over on this side, we have Quick Trip, and we've got We Energy. And then it's more commercial, but this is all filled in. It's pretty. Secondary commercial area on Ross and that is what I just pointed out. It's surrounded by residential and pretty well what's developed for retail is in the outdoor Twin Theater area. That is this area right here. Okay, that area on Rawson and 27 South Quarter of Rawson. It's a church area which has potential for development, and it has zoning for business. So C1 does have potential, but you have to figure out what the church is going to do with it. Typically, that's not an easy nut to crack. So it's a redevelopment. It's got potential, but it's going to be a different. The church has looked at doing something with their acreage and back, not enough. And so the other sites in there.
Which church? Is that fake?
No. St. James.
Okay.
Statesman is in the other zone that's in the Tickner report. This C2 zone. And then, of course, C3 is where Northwestern. So that's all. That's the
Lately in social media, they've been talking about 168 units going
66, 166 homes. Those
in. Is that Crocus?
rental homes.
It's not, but it's confusing.
Is it budding it going north?
It's probably not gonna, I heard it didn't go over well,
Right here,
The concept
it's
review?
this lot right,
and that'd be like way down.
right there.
Some of the houses to me, when they presented it, looked like Dr. Seuss. You know how they're like, you know what I mean? And they're like they were all different like colors and.
That's kind of how Foxtown is in Mequon. That's kind of the big trend right
I don't know. I thought they looked.
So,
I don't think it was well perceived. And the mayor is not a fan
right, yeah.
of it. And how many tips are we going to give away at one time?
Well, was it proposed for a tip?
I don't know. I thought it was. Everyone needs a tip. You think?
I haven't
I didn't hear that.
requested.
I'd be shocked if they didn't.
It has to have rezoning. It's gonna be large, strictly residential, business.
It was a lot of homes crammed in such a small place. I felt like there were literally like one right on top of the other.
That's the big thing right now. It's in Oconomowoc, Mequon.
I don't
it's-
have any desire to live that close to somebody.
Yeah, it's-
No, I don't either. But when I'm in, so I'm in a lot of these. They're called row homes, right? So when I'm in a lot of these for my full-time career, measuring people's windows and so forth. You can literally see.
Yeah.
But they're for a lot of young business professionals who don't want to throw their money out the door renting, but they want to be able to own. They don't want the big yard.
zero lot line or condos, is basically what they are.
In a way,
Just two-story.
without a
condos.
HOA.
Yeah, and so yes,
They're very popular.
and yeah, it's kind of the solution, to
I mean, I'm a
the home ownership problem.
right. Traveling all over southeastern Wisconsin, everywhere.
And it's unusual to find a developer that wants to do them.
It is.
That wants to do condos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
These seem like
And
they're
they
becoming the
complain
new.
that they're difficult. The thing is apartments are just more. You build them and start making money right away.
I'd rather have that project. We gotta like. We'll get to that when we get to that. In this when I. Stop.
No, it's good. Well, this is kind of the lead up to the second part of what we have to do this year, and that is what's appropriate for incentives in one of the areas of housing. So, in the hospitals in this area, in the southeast environs, obviously the first part of it, on the corner of Ryan and 27th, where I think it's the Walgreens, and then there's the bridge. Bridge something.
Bridgeport. Oh, the.
Oh,
I remember
it's
the
a
hotel.
Is it on
It's the
Mimosa
hotel.
side?
Yeah.
Okay, right there in the corner.
It's south of
It's
Mimosa.
south.
Oh,
South
okay.
of the Ryan.
South, right.
Oh,
Where the hotel
Staybridge.
is. Not the
That's
motel, the
Staybridge.
hotel.
Staybridge Inn is across from the gas station.
Staybridge,
Yeah,
is that what it is?
Staybridge.
Have a reservation standing.
Do you want to use it again this weekend?
Oh my god.
But the only thing I
Wow.
can think of is, I don't know if it's something that we want to see redeveloped, the Stone Landscaping Company.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing that business that special, that magnet going business. That's just amazing. You never know. But what we will talk about later on, at the end of all this area has not been redeveloped, and it is zoned, but it has some targets that the city wants to see. So that, and then you get farther down in that southeast corner, Elm Road, going to need redevelopment, chicken or egg kind of thing. And so, we do the improvements on the roads and increase the value of the property for the folks that own it with businesses that we would like to see redeveloped into other communities. Or wait until somebody can come in and do a project. So,
And we're looking at parcels. In the past, I remember people talking about corridors. We would designate a whole corridor like that Rawson Avenue into the curve is.
Sure.
We would still do that, and that's still something that we'd like to assess.
these are areas or corridors, and I guess when you look at a corridor, again, we'll look at parts of, and we can look at parts of 27th Street. As a corridor, yeah, it's something we want to see developed, but when you apply a TIF district to it, to see it redeveloped, I think the ones we've done in the past have been too broad. We've had TIF districts, 23rd Street, and the parcels were developed in a way, and I think being more targeted can get a couple of investors interested, and then we're not worried about non-performance of it.
Because I'm thinking about that, like the state where the outdoor theater was, that whole corridor along Highway 100 there. It's got a lot of vacant land, some uses stuff in it.
Where's that again?
Coming, as you take the roundabout, going back down to Ryan from Highway 100,
Okay.
there's a lot of, that's where like quarry land in there or something and stuff like that. Is there any thoughts of what that corridor might
Might have some. We're going to look at that area in just a second. Highway 100. Talking about right in here, something
Yeah, south of there,
in here.
Ryan Road.
Here's Ryan Road. It curves into St. Martin's. Right?
Mhm.
Now, this is an area we will look at. That'd be- yeah, again, West Elm. This area right here, it's a redevelopment area. You know, we've got to figure out how that gets. Road. I think this is Bryan Road Street. And these are right north, just north of the business park. And this area is a prime site. We've been thinking about retail in there, grocery store, retail. And then this is a retail area that could definitely be redeveloped. This area here is kind of a tag along. Look at this property view. It's right in here. This area here is business. That could be redeveloped as well, but this is the area that we're talking about. And there's housing next to it. There's a lot of rooftops there. I think the density to the west is maybe off-putting in the density to the south. The density to the south is the same way. It's industry, and so that you have a convenience store here, but again, to the west,
That's Andy's, right?
Andy's right here. To the west, you've got Conservancy and really unusable land, and then to the west of that, you have Moore County property, and really you don't have anything until you get to 76. So that area is undeveloped there, and we're looking at this. This is an area that,
And that's the
We're gonna look at.
intersection where the hideaway
yeah, the highway.
is, okay,
The hideaway's right here.
yeah, okay.
And so this area here this is zoned for housing. It has some interest for housing.
That Jim?
Yes. Yep. But it could be industrial. This area here in the northwest, we've got it, had it rezoned when we did the TIF district for housing and for commercial. We were looking at retail there. That could be a prime lot for industrial development. Probably would want some retail maybe along housing that's next to it to provide a buffer for commercial. But lots of potential. That's obviously one of our prime targets. And again, what we're talking, we just got done talking. It needs rezoning, but those two sites are the only ones available because on the southwest, as you saw, that's the Department of Public Works, and on the northeast side is Harmon. Now there are a couple sites for retail that are available for. So again, rezoning that needs to be done. Logic is this used to be industrial right here, and somehow housing got dumped into the area. So it's been developed. So that takes us to another corner, another chapter.
Did they look at between like county line and 124th, coming up to 112th or 116th?
That's where we're at right now.
Okay.
In this area, this area here has been developed. That is Bears Development, Loomis Business Park.
Right.
Where we are. So there is an area right here that's business that can be developed. It's zoned for business. Would serve these housing areas that are developing. Family here, single family here, single family here. This is that little area that got rezoned into. And this is all. These are the only two industrial sites that are available. This may come up again. This is an area we should look at. But before we get to that, there is some consideration in this Tickner report. To look at other areas further north as a holding site. And developed in that area. But you look at this and I wonder, how much of this we need parks. So we've got some areas going along. No doubt about it, this has some challenges. But simply because of the wetlands that are in it. These are green corridors. So they present some challenges. This right here, this lot right here. It could go either way. This is residential to an extent. We have parkland. This is parkland. Here, ag parkland.
Who owns the parkland?
Well, it's zoned. It's zoned for that use. Currently, it's owned by Milwaukee Area Land Conservancy, so it's going to be parkland.
Where is the Savannah? 112th?
Savannah is Honestly, I think I know.
Right here.
Right after.
It's, I think that it's the property that Franklin owns.
Yeah,
That would be the,
it'll be in there somewhere.
would be the. And then there,
But wait,
This
that's
is
off
county
of
property
Oakwood in
right here.
76.
what's that?
That the city owns the span of. Goes on Constable. But then we also own the land on off of Loomis.
Land is the city. Oh, this right here. They
We
own
own
this
the
right
land
here.
right here.
That's owned by the city. Yeah, this parcel and that parcel is owned by the city. That parcel is owned by the county. I would guess this is owned by the county. Yes. So, yeah, a lot of parkland.
Which we need some.
Which brings me to a question. I don't know if this is compromised because of its proximity to the landfill. But I just,
Well, it wouldn't be somebody's first choice property. I mean, unless they'll
Yeah,
use
well-
everything else up first.
but take a look. I mean, I fuddle this, except maybe.
Old farmhouses.
Yeah, well, I think it's because there's some woodlands and wetlands, and it's easier to work homes into it. If you zone it for industrial, you know, woods get taken down, and then there's a map. Get this dedicated as a. But that's the civic center. Again, it's pretty much redeveloped, so we'll scoot down to that here in this examining. Yeah, now we're back again to that area where Forest Home runs up by St. Martin. But I'd like to go back right down to the tail end on those sites that I told you about. This one. This is the site on Ryan and 27th Street. That's talking about. I just think this all needs to be dedicated towards this is park. That's pretty severe. This has got minimal acreage on it. It's forest. And so parcel. This is ag parkland. This is it's woodlands. It's never been. It's always going to be that. And there's parkland right next to it. Lots of parkland. South here. Ag parkland. Ag park.
So if the city did some of that, Franklin,
This is all private owners. It's just been developed use is what they're talking in current use. Ag, but in the future that they're thinking about parkland. We can pull up the future uses. Kind of working on that right now.
but all the P's down this,
Everyone with P on it or ag.
but net in a state park, unless what?
Unless we ask to have it rezoned.
Okay, so it is possible to rezone it.
Yes. Again, we need to investigate a little bit to find out why parkland is so concentrated next to Waste Management owns it all. This is Mayor. This all owns Waste Management. Every single one of these.
Well, maybe there's things in the offer. I mean, yes, it is right now, but did they send the landfill? That's the landfill there.
Here. So I mean, there's industrial there. I think more industrial there. And it is, they bought it for a buffer. Yeah. Because, people next door are always
Right.
going to be unhappy. And it might be a requirement to purchase it.
If they wanted to expand the landfill, they'd have to change the zoning on
Yeah,
that.
Right. Yeah, they would have to change all that and expand this direction, and they'd have to buy this property. Well, they might. Say, I'm guessing they're not gonna get this far.
No. But instead, they could take the keys down. AP.
Yeah. Well, it's the trees, woodland. So, anyways,
There's a lot of other places where they get there.
yeah. Now, here's the thing to weigh. The only reason I say this is because if you look at, here's another area right in here. Here's Copart, here's the Rise,
Commercial.
entrepreneurial side. Business condos, all of that be developed. So, what should be in between? Yes, this would be really tough. Seems to me, this area, right here, I have no idea anybody would. Or single family estates here. See single family estates going there?
If everything else was used, maybe.
Well, next to Copart. So that's why I suggest take a look at orange squares around.
Makes more sense.
So, those are the three areas that I had suggested. So, Whitnall area, again, looking at having Menards outlots there. But, so there's a couple lots there. Right here's one right here. And it's easier to see this map.
Those designated retail?
Yeah. It's all retail. Here's Speedway. It's actually all zoned light industrial. Or limited. Here's an outlot here, an outlot here. Hey, this lot here is drainage. But this lot and that lot. And we could contact them. My guess is they do a deal, took care of their site on 27th Street that's contaminated. So, but nothing's happening. So this is Rawson and Forest Home, and there's some infill lots there. That's about the extent of it. Here we go. Somebody just purchased this through some kind of a plan. But this lot got some wetland issues, but it has potential for development. Certainly as an infill project, something could be done. Something could be built here with basically with a driveway coming out this way. Then it'd be there and something there. This lot needs to be redeveloped, or needs to be developed. This lot clearly needs to be redeveloped. So somebody could pick that up and pick this up, maybe do something. This is building.
What are all those boxes on that?
In this,
The semis?
That's what it looks like.
they're semis and yeah, they look like dumpsters, roll off dumpsters.
Oh, yeah.
I think the roll off dumpsters. But yeah, there's a lot of tractor trailers. Trucks look like they have roll offs, or there's some kind of a dump truck or refuse truck or something. All I can think. It's just an open box on the. And clearly, a lot of outdoor storage.
Big eyesore.
Junk.
Stuff that spawned the condition for no outdoor storage ordinances in the world. So that's kind of a rundown on everything that Hickner had and a couple suggestions I have. But again, for you folks, if you have suggestions, that's what we need to continue to work on, and I can condense all this.
By the way, nice job.
Yeah.
I took a good bit of time and background. I like it. Thank you, John.
But again, so now, like I said, there's lots of areas that have been developed, and now you know. But has some.
So when you talked about working with some of the developers or even brokers, etc., do they know all this? Probably not, right? Of area to be developed here in Franklin.
They know the major ones, the high potential ones, like in the corporate park.
Right.
We have had a developer working for a while, trying to take down the whole thing, but the infrastructure is overwhelming.
Yeah.
But, we'll talk about that. But
The reason I say it, there's a lot here.
the whole south section of
Yeah.
corporate park, again, it's on the deck. It's formalized, so to speak, but it's not.
And I guess I had the impression we're almost out of land. We're not. There's a bunch here.
It is. You have to get it to a position where it's used. This is all. It's all this shaded area. It's PD. Yeah. This is all private ownership. All these tracks are private. So. Well, we can talk about it more in the session. Some of it has to do with, because it's private ownership, there's some conditions that we can talk about.
Okay. Anything else we should cover on this?
No, not on this. Just the strategic plan report and implementation. We want to have that formalized by the council. Just need to schedule a date. My suggestion would be early May, first meeting in May.
Do you need a motion to move it forward?
Yeah, that would help.
Make a move to,
And do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
the council, when the council can have the opportunity to take a look at it.
Yeah.
Start talking to him about that. And we can talk about prospects this whole session if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'll make the motion to go into closed.
Second.
All in favor?
You get to read the little fine print there.
Where's that?
First page.
Under current prospects.
Oh, that little tiny print?
Yeah.
The Economic Development Commission may enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State 19.851 for market competition reasons to deliberate and consider potential commercial, industrial, and manufacturing development, the governmental actions in relation thereto, and to re-enter open session at the same place thereafter to act on such matters discussed therein as it deems appropriate.
All right, so we're now down to
We have,
meeting dates.
but we have to go into open machines.
We
We have to
did.
open the doors. We have to open the doors.
Officially open the door.
Do that.
Nope, we got it.
Yeah, so the meeting date, I mean, it's, I'll just start out by saying it's been incredibly challenging. I mean, I'm driving all over southeastern Wisconsin, and I sit on how many other boards and commissions I'm an alder. My full-time job isn't 40 hours a week, it's more 60, then throw on the alder stuff on top of it. So we need to come up with a better game plan. Because last minute cancellations, we don't have quorum. This isn't fair to the rest of us that are trying to be here and get here. We have to come up with something that's going to work. Stick to it. How many people are we short on this? Do we need more people?
2.
So we have 2 open spots on this.
Oh, no, we're short 1. We can have 1 more spot.
Okay, so we need to fill 1 person.
So-
I have an idea. Somebody.
Well, if I could just, first of all, say thank you. I appreciate us being able to get together on Thursday. I, like, I travel Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. My first real day, which is, that doesn't work for everybody. I appreciate that and I understand. But Thursdays, I'm doable.
And
You
I
get-
travel 5 days, 5 days a week, but I was switching my work schedule, making Mondays possible, because that was the day that only everyone could do.
Well, Thursdays, I think, would be great. We can do
But
Thursdays.
Not every,
Yeah.
not, Thursdays do not work. It's a plan commission.
Second and fourth.
Second and the 4th Thursdays will
Right.
not work.
No, first and third Thursday.
I was gonna say first and third, I don't know what
Yeah.
So the second and fourth are.
Yeah,
are open.
so,
I prefer, yeah, the second.
so I'm gonna recommend the 4th Thursday. That works.
Works for me.
We're not having another
I'm
one.
looking at my calendar.
I know, I appreciate that.
We're not having another one this month, right?
No, we're done. We did good.
So then it would be Thursday in April, not the second, not.
Okay, so in April, the third one would,
It's the 4th.
or the fourth, I'm sorry. The fourth one would actually be,
The 23rd.
yeah.
Yep.
Which is planned.
And going forward, it would always be the 4th Thursday. Are there any other boards?
Community
You know what,
develop-
April 23rd, I can't make it right off the bat. Sorry, it's my granddaughter's first grade spring concert, and I miss way too much of my grandkids. It is. I cannot miss that. So I won't be there.
So, if,
Well,
Comic-Con-
we've got Tim and we've got Barb, so if you
Yeah.
can't make it, that's,
I won't.
that's
I'm
understandable.
just saying right now, I won't be. I had this in my calendar already. Audrey's first grade concert. I miss so much of my grandkids' stuff and city stuff. It's pathetic. I'm not missing her. It's her first concert.
Your thought?
can I talk?
Yes. Yes, please.
Okay, so if Common Council is switched because of the voting, right? So it's gonna be on the 8th, and then plan is on the 9th, and then Common Council would be on the 21st, and then plan would be on the 23rd, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We're looking at the 23rd. And then the following 4th and the following 4th.
Wait. Okay.
That's the game plan. Recognizing, people have things that come up. We just gotta work around. That's
Yeah,
what
so somebody actually talked to me today too about this board. They wanted on this.
So, Kathy,
Yes, ma'am.
the election's on the 7th, so we're having common council is on the 8th,
Yeah, and then
and then the next common council meeting's on the 22nd.
22nd.
No, because then
no, it'd be the
planning commission's
21st
on the
here.
23rd, so that's not gonna work. No,
Yeah, it would be the 21st and 23rd. For Plan Commission would be the 23rd.
that's the problem we're gonna fall into on a Thursday, and I think that's why we didn't pick Thursdays before.
Well,
And
actually,
I'm gonna
it used to be before you were on the thing,
Okay.
it was always
Well,
Thursdays.
and then I don't have to be on here. And I may be going back on Plan Commission because Alderwoman Day's leaving, and I was on Plan Commission, and I let Nabil have a chance. But so I'm probably going to be on Plan Commission on Thursdays. And regardless, John Riggins
It
needs to be at
happens.
Plan Commission on most Thursdays.
It's
And I have to be at
seldom
Plan
it
Commission.
occurs that late.
What do you mean that late?
The plan commission.
Doesn't Plan start at 6?
Okay, so it's, how often do you have the first of the month?
What's
on-
going to
Whack it
On a
happen?
Wednesday. That's
Yeah.
what's bugging you up, 'cause that's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
So July,
the
it happens
first-
in July, happens in April. So twice?
Just say April 30th.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. When that happens, we could adjust it to a different Thursday.
You could
Thursdays
just make it
work.
the last Thursday of the month. if you
No,
wanted
yeah,
to.
that's, why don't we do
April
that?
30th.
Is that what you meant maybe? Is
Well,
the last,
yeah, I would just pick in the fourth, and
because usually
sometimes
the
it's
last.
not always, yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Why don't we just do the last Thursday of every month?
Okay.
Then it'll never conflict with plan.
Fine.
So it'll be the 30th, and then I can be there, yay. So April 30th.
Like it's both. Okay, so it's gonna be on the 30th at 6.
And is Tim still on this? He hasn't been to several meetings.
Well, it's tax season.
Yeah, he said he
A
would
lot
be
of
missing.
And he's short-staffed too, isn't he?
And
Yeah, I was
people
thinking the
got
tax.
sick. 2 meetings ago,
He was sick, yeah.
well, and you had
Wasn't he?
people sick, and, I mean,
Yeah, I don't want anyone here sick. So.
No, it's totally true. The old days, come on, I'll
Yeah.
approve. Now?
You're like, please stay home.
Yeah, stay.
Right?
Yeah, we
Oh
don't
my
need it.
god.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have.
All right, that's tentative meeting.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Tentative until we have. a
Don't
change.
have a change? Yeah,
No.
absolutely.
I feel like every other month it's a change. I'm like,
Well, then why did we ever make it on a Monday?
We-
the last meeting, we discussed it, and Thursday seemed like it was open, and Monday just seemed like people liked better, and
Yeah.
went with Monday.
so we went with it. I know Barbara could make it on Monday and she can't make it on Thursday, so that was part of it.
She can't make it on
I saw it.
Thursdays?
Nobody
Not
said they
today.
couldn't- Nobody couldn't say they couldn't make, nobody said they couldn't make it on Thursday. Very like Mondays.
And in the past, we all made it on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So Tim did.
When I
Barb
wasn't
did.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that when Paul Dousman was on it?
No. That was-
Were you on it when Paul Dousman was on
Yeah.
it?
No, it's,
I've been on a long time.
we started,
Yeah.
it would have
You
been
took
last
over
year
from
we started.
Paul.
Yeah. Actually, I
Oh,
did.
you took over
Yeah.
for Paul?
But I was on it, but not, chair all the time.
How long have you been on it? Forever?
Oh, he's been forever.
Forever.
You have?
Yeah.
When Paul was on it?
Oh, yeah.
Paul was my treasurer and my
Is that the end?
Motion to adjourn, is that what
Yes,
you're doing?
that's what I said.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, you're lucky.
Opposed? Thank you.